And here it is, when we struggle with an assurance and long for a confident hope in Jesus, we must learn to trust him more. I said it before and I say it again. If some of us can be honest and transparent on this afternoon, we didn't trust God until we went through what we went through. You didn't pray the way you prayed until you done went through a storm. You know, now you didn't know nothing about fasting and praying. Also, you found it out when you was going through what you was going through. You said, I'm fasting, I'm praying, I'm doing everything. Because trials draw us closer to God. It makes us show up when we don't feel like showing up. It makes us worship when we don't feel like worshiping. It makes us trust him when it feels like we need to hold on to it ourselves. It's the assurance of our salvation. And first and foremost, based on the mercy and merits of Jesus Christ. We fix our eyes on him by faith and find in his life, death, and resurrection all the hope necessary to stand before the face of God. And so he says again in verse 18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. And saves those who are crushed in their spirits. Let me tell you, when you are experiencing being an emotional wreck, it feels like a crushing in your spirit. Has anybody ever been there? You don't feel like getting up, and you don't feel like going. You don't feel like, you know what to do, but you just don't feel like doing it. Because you have had a crushing in your spirit. But here it is. Crushing in the spirit not only comes from what others have done to us, but watch this, what we have done to ourselves. I said it before, I said it again. You can't blame the enemy for everything. Some stuff the devil didn't make you do. Some stuff you decided to do on your own. And so crushing in our spirit sometimes come from self-afflicted pain. But here it is. Whether it's self-afflicted pain, whether it's pain from others, whether it's pain from circumstances, whether we're going through an emotional breakdown because of things around us, God says, I am close to those who are brokenhearted. In other words, I have this sense of yearning. I have a sense of closeness that those who are going through brokenness in your life. And somebody ought to look at your neighbor and begin to declare to them, just because you're broken don't mean that you're dead. Matter of fact, an indication of brokenness is a good indication. Because there are some things that are broken that can be put back together again. Who am I talking to in here? There are some things that have been broken in your life that God is able to mend and put back together again. Somebody ought to thank God every now and then that he has broken you, because if you didn't get broken, you were not able to put back together again. In fact, can I remind us again of what I shared on Wednesday night, the analogy of a sheep and a shepherd, because I used that text on Wednesday night that he restores us. You got to understand that a shepherd with a sheep, sometimes the shepherd, when the sheep has gone astray, he will break the leg of the sheep. And the reason he will break the leg of the sheep is to teach the sheep a lesson that you can't wander from the fold. And the reason you can't wander from the fold is because sheep has a tendency of not coming back to the fold. And so the shepherd sometimes has to break the leg of a sheep in order to remind him that you can't wander. But in the midst of it, he doesn't break it where it's permanently broken. He breaks it so it can get healed again. And God is saying that although you have had broken brokenness in your life. I didn't break you to kill you. I broke you so you can recognize that it was not you that brought you to the place of where I am. But if it had not been, who am I talking to on a Sunday afternoon that says, I thank God for my brokenness. I thank God that some folks that left me, walked away from me, left me heartbroken, but God is a mender. He is a mender of my brokenness. So listen, don't you go around judging broken people. Because you ought to look in the man in the mirror, because there's been times in your life that you've been broken yourself. And just because you got it all together right now, don't mean you won't have another broken experience. But the difference between us and the world is that we know how to deal with brokenness. When we find ourselves broken, we can make ourselves our way back to the one who is able to heal us, the one who is able to deliver us, the one who is able to provide for us. Am I talking to any broken people that says, I found strength? I found strength in my brokenness. There are a lot of people that come, we say the church is designed to be a hospital. You ain't got nothing but broken people up in here. Matter of fact, the way church going now, it's not just a hospital, it's an urgent care. You knew before you had the hospitals, you had the emergency rooms, and people would go in the emergency room and they would wait all times of night. The emergency room, the doctor ain't get there to see you until hours and hours away. And now they came up with something new. They came up with something. And so you ain't got to go to the emergency room no more. You can go to something called urgent care. And when you go to urgent care, they'll take you right away and they'll come and see you and they'll give you a solution for your problem right now. Here it is. The church has now become urgent care. Because we are living in a generation where there is so much brokenness, and folks need to know, can I find a place where I can receive a word from the Lord to deal with my brokenness? So don't you dare judge people who are in a broken state. Somebody may be broken in their heart, broken by the emotions of their mind, broken because they lost a loved one, broken because they are going through financial struggles. Whatever your brokenness is, God is able. I said he's able. I wish I had a witness that know that he's able. He's able to mend those broken pieces. He's able to put you back together again. He's able to save you just as you are. So no matter what our brokenness is, but we have to be transformed by our faith. It is, as I take my seat, we fix our eyes on him by faith. It is, Christ alone is our surety. And this transforms us from a people who despair over our sin into a people who sing praises of a Savior who's able to deliver us from our transgressions. God has created us as emotional people. The Bible even says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 that there's a time for everything. Yeah, there's a time to weep. There's a time to laugh. There's a time to mourn. A time to dance. Time to hate, time to love. And so all this is part of our emotional makeup. But we ought not to be driven in our emotions by our feelings. Many people have left God and left the church because they're driven by feelings. Can I say that? Somebody hurt my feelings. Somebody said something to me. Well, you live long enough, listen, you're going to have hurt feelings all the time. But this is where you cause emotional sickness on yourself. Because you take your hurt feelings and it carries over to unforgiveness. I'm going to deal with it on Wednesday night. I'm not going to touch it tonight. I'm going to deal with it on Wednesday night. You take it and you carry it. And so now you so hurt that you can't forgive. And then you're wondering why you all sick and can't get sleep at night. You got anxiety and you carrying stuff. Listen, the other person done forgot about it. You got to remember somebody had to forgive you. And you carrying all this stuff around. And then we try to, I'm a tip to do it. I'm going to show us Wednesday night how all this stuff causes physical illnesses in us. All the stuff you were walking by, now you're all hunchback and over and all that. Because you carrying all this stuff. But let us lay aside every weight and every sin that so easily beset us. Sometimes some stuff you gotta. And here is our favorite line, Brother Pastor. I'm waiting to 2019. You may not make it to 19. You better throw that stuff off right now. And stop being moved by your feelings. And start being moved by your faith.